vision needs to be here. Ideally, your vision needs to be like that. You need to see as much of the screen as humanly possible. That's what you need to be doing. You need to
see your party.
No, you don't need to see your party, really.
Especially as a tank.
It doesn't matter too much. Now, as a prop pilot, it helps a little bit. Don't get me wrong, it helps a little bit to see your party. What you don't need to see is every buff your party's got. You need to know it's got your buff, that's it. You don't need to see lines of this. You certainly don't need to see every target that the party's got. It's not necessary. That can all go. It's not needed to see what your party is targeting at all. But it's a low resolution one, so you can tell because the map's quite large. That's what it is. That's why Mickey Boy got it right. All this area, do you need a threat meter as a tank anymore? I'm going to go ahead and say no. But that's maybe because I've got a lot of experience. What do you guys think? Do you think you need a threat meter as a tank still? Let me know in the comments. I don't think you do. I think it's unnecessary, especially how big that is. Look how huge that is. That's as big as all his buttons, really. It's just that menu. It goes on to about 15 people. I mean,
a third of it's excessive space as well.
All you need to know as a tank is the top 3 people max. If you do want to use the threat meter, you can reduce that down so it's actually about this big. That's all your threat meter needs to be. It doesn't need to have all this information. It's just not needed. And I don't actually think it's needed at all. Do you guys use threat meter? Yeah, they've made threat pretty easy, so it's not needed. I don't think so anyway. So this could be reduced down. And you see a running theme is to clear as much of your space as possible. You need to clear this area so you're maximising your potential on your looking around. Especially as a tank, you need to know what's going on, not just in front of you, but behind you, to the sides, what's coming. All that kind of stuff needs to be very, very looked after. But in general, I think it's actually a pretty decent UI. So I actually think it's pretty decent. It needs condensing, that's all. An investment in a new monitor would be decent, but that's a big expense. Yeah. This can be minimised. You don't need to see your objectives. But in general, I would lose all these targets.
Reputation.
I don't think the rep bar's too bad. It's an XP bar. He's not capped. I don't think that's too bad.
Right.
Yeah, it's just his XP bar. That's okay. And it's right at the bottom. It's not taking up any space at all. You could probably... chat window's fine, because when he types, this bit is going to actually fill with what he's typed, so that's okay. All these buttons can be moved all the way down. I would definitely move his current target, which is this bit here, over to here where his current auras are, and then I'd move this down to its place and probably get rid of all this stuff. And I think that will dramatically improve your vision. And your vision is very important as a tank. It's really, really important. I don't think you need the threat meter. The damage meter, yeah, fine, you can have a damage meter. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make it smaller. You only need to see... If you're tanking in a raid, you're going to be way down the bottom anyway. So at the max, you need to see 1, 2, 3, 4 if you're interested. So you can bring all this down to this area here and make that really small. Improve your view. Okay, should we go to the next one? I think we had a DPS one. It was really nice. Yeah, this is from Healthcare. That was his name. He was a priest.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah, okay. So tell me the first thing you spotted when you open this. It's going to zoom out a touch. There you go. That's his full UI.
That's organised as fuck.
All right. Comments in the thingy guy. What was the first thing your eyes were drawn to and initial impressions? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let's see what you guys got to say. Take your time, people.
The bars look very RPG, don't they? Standard
RPG?
You know what I mean? Like when you play a classic RPG like Baldur's Gate or whatever, it's all at the bottom, fills the bottom. The unit frames, they've got backing and things like that. Okay.
Okay, this is actually Mickey Boy. Nice one, Mickey Boy. Thank you for your submission. It really helps. Clean, but fugly. Nice hood. Hood is too big, so there's DPS meters. I'm going to be a bit of an arse now, and I actually think most of you are wrong, actually. I think it's a decent UI. There are problems with it, though, Mickey. For me, anyway, from playing a Shadow Priest, I think there's a few issues here. It's obviously... I'd like to know what, Mickey, is it a downloaded UI? Is it sort of some version of a homemade pack? 'Cause it's very graphical. Is it a pack that you've downloaded? It appears to me similar to what is Kate's UI. It's very nice. Your boss mods are in a decent place. You've got your big announcements there. Let me trick to a decent colour. That's great. Big announcements up there. You've got the timers here where Rest of Deadly boss mods would be. I can't see the short timers. I assume you've got them sort of either around here or around here. Now, what I would say is, as a Shadow Priest, your dots are hugely important. And you've got very much repeated information, Mickey. Repeated information that's going to distract you from where you're looking. And it's not clear, actually, on your dot timers, because all your dots are, if you look here, you've got your dots on here with timers on them, which is fine. But you've got them mixed amongst everybody else's dots. And then you've got them again here But again, they're mixed amongst everything else. We've got rogues, poisons, we've got slow. So in a raid, I'd like to know if that actually fills up to sort of up here. Have you got it set to a limited amount of buffs, or does this bit fill up all the way over here, something like that? You don't need to see those. You only need this information once, Mickey. You don't need to see your dots here and your dots here. You don't need them there and you don't need them there. You need them in one place. And you need I would suggest a better timer, something along the lines of Forte Exorcist or Class Timer, which will actually count down as you go across, instead of watching a number all the time, because watching numbers can be deceptive, especially with high amounts of haste. You certainly don't need to be seeing everyone else's buffs, so that might be just a mod configuration you're not sure of, that's fine. You've also, what people don't tend to show enough of, and that's none of the UIs have actually done this yet, is their self buffs. You want to be pushing your DPS to the absolute max. Now you've got your shadow orbs listed here, you can see that, and you've also got them up here. Now shadow orbs are hugely important to a shadow priest. I would like to, but you want to be also timing such things as a heavy mind blast with trinket procs, especially when you're using things like Archangel. You want to be timing those with trinket procs. Now, what I can't see is on any UI, except actually up here in the buffs area, which everyone has, is things like trinket procs or self buffs, tailoring professions, anything like that that's powered it up, that shows you that you're about to do your maximum amount of DPS, so you can time your cooldowns. Because what you want to do is using Archangel on cooldown, but also mixing with trinkets. And it's not clear to me where your trinkets are announced. You're in the chat, so if you can go ahead and tell me, that's great. If you've got something like that that's not shown, but I assume you would have some sort of buff up. You've got your buffs here, which is fine. You've got these buffs here, which are your self-priest buffs. But I'm also concerned about things like trinket procs, tailoring profession, all that kind of stuff that's going to fire off, maybe engineering if you've got it, something like that. And that's really going to improve your DPS, is if you can see those clearly, because I don't think this is particularly clear. It's not bad. I could certainly get used to it. But I would like to see maybe here, if you could set it up, trinket buffs of the like, looks like a boot, something like that, some sort of trinket buffs. You've got some repeat information. Again, this is a common problem when people use these arch hoods. All this information here, which is, it's blocking areas of the environment, not by a great deal, because it's a really, really nice UI, don't get me wrong, is also repeated here. That's your health and your mana, is all repeated here. You could actually eliminate this and just keep the buffs, and that would be much nicer, I think. And I would think it would actually be an improvement if you just got rid of that and just had his buffs on the side. You see what I'm saying? I think that would really increase his DPS quite nicely. Damage meter is a little bit large. It's larger than your chat box, and you always go for symmetry with these graphical UIs. I might want to bring that down just to here or something, just to tighten that up a little bit. It's not going to improve your DPS, don't get me wrong, that's not going to improve your DPS. But you've got all the potential there to do maximum DPS. For me, the main improvement is maybe drop Arch HUD unless you particularly like it, and definitely find a way to graphically display your buffs. But you've got everything there to make a really good go of pushing maximum DPS. You're just lacking, for me, a nice track on the buffs. I'll just check the comments, see if you said anything. God knows, mate, I just got it because it was nice and tidy. That's why I asked for the help. Trinket buffs, I don't have a clue. I don't think I've got any. Okay. So, yeah. Trinket buffs, I would recommend. I don't often recommend add-ons, but something like Class Timer, which I use for mine. You can add extra buffs. Forte Exorcist does the same thing as well. You can add extra buffs. Whatever the buff, when you trinket procs and it shows up here, it'll show somewhere in there. Write down the name and just add it to the add-on. You can just add extras. And Need to Know does the same thing. And then try and eliminate this repeated information, especially other people's buffs. You don't need to know that there's 5 stacks of deadly poison on it. It's not going to help but use up more memory. Okay, so, and you don't want as much memory, you want as much FPS as humanly possible to push maximum DPS. You could probably even get this down to 1 bar, but that's just nitpicking. It's not going to improve your DPS. In fact, it's a great UI. It is a really, really good UI, and if you're looking to improve your DPS, all I would do is try and add some trinket buffs, and maybe lose this, just so you've got more vision of your environment, so you can move that little bit quicker, because what you don't want to be doing is looking here, seeing the same information here and here. It's just not needed. It's just extra information you don't particularly need. All right, Mickey? But that's what I think. I think it's actually a very decent UI. It's definitely a downloaded package, which is fine. I think you're keybinded, but I can't tell. If you're not keybinded, there's a guide on how to become keybinded. That'll obviously help your DPS more than anything, but you have the right buffs up, so no issue from me there, really. Okay, let's look at the last one. I just wanted to do 4 because it was quite last minute. Looking at the last one, I think it was a Holy Paladin. Yes, it was Battle Axed. Okay, this is Battle Axe. Battle Axe is a Holy Paladin. This is pretty much, I picked this one because it's pretty much the standard UI. So tell me what you think initially, guys, because this actually reminded me about how horrific the standard UI is and how absolutely useless the standard UI is for current gaming. let me know quickly in the comments what you think. What do you think's wrong with that? Or tell me straight away instant things you've noticed about this UI. What do you think?
Resolution.
Resolution?
Definitely.
What else? Do you think he's keybinded?
Partially, yes.
I would say not.
Why would you?
Purely because there's no alteration between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's no bindings over here. That's standard. That comes with when you install Blizzard. So I'd say he's not actually keybinded. I don't think so.
Oh, I see what your point is.
But other than that, what else?
Excessive frames. Like the gargoyles on the bars and shit. It's 90% standard UI, isn't it?
It's 90% standard UI.
Unit frames stuff.
Clicker, yeah, Paulie got it. Standard UI, spell out everything, can't see. Party frames are too far away for a healer.
Broken
nice,
armor.
Sureth. Broken armor, yeah.
Valid point.
Hot bars, unit frames in the corner. Okay, this is why the standard UI is horrific, guys. As a healer especially, it is awful. The standard UI is absolutely terrible. Look where you need to check your health. Up in the left-hand corner, ignoring all this area. Look where you need to... Look where his vision is. His vision in 90% of every fight is here. Look how much of the screen is actually completely ignored. Because as a healer, his vision is going to be very focused on his bars. It's wrong, isn't it? You can tell straight away, if I highlight it like that, your vision while you're looking at the screen is here. And it's not in all this extra space. His entire game, life, when he's raiding, he's not enjoying the fact that what's going on around him. He's going to be literally looking at 1/6 again of the entire screen. We'll get to that, pal. Don't get me wrong, guys. There's all kinds of things wrong with this. He's a holy paladin. They appear to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 manning Ragnaros. They said they were doing it for fun, which is fine. He's a holy paladin who seems to have Earth Shield, and he's got Crusader Aura on. So yeah, he's clicking as far as I can tell. So he's got a lot of gameplay to improve.
Might be new though.
Could be new. It's unlikely if he's got to Ragnaros, but we'll take his word for it at the moment. He's definitely could do with some keybind, especially things like Avenger's Wrath, Aura Mastery, Divine Plea, Divine Favour. All this stuff needs to be keybinded. Guard of the Ancient Kings need to be keybinded. Very, very important for them to be keybinded as a healer. You need to have them fast, especially Aura Mastery. You need to be watching yourself. Why have you got Earth Shield? I don't know. I assume you're a bunch of friends, so maybe you're not taking it too seriously. I can see you had a couple of goes at this, though. There's a corpse there. So you definitely had a couple of goes at doing this. Some things to be considered there. This damage meter is just in the middle of nowhere. That's not helpful at all. But the primary concern is this. This is really, really bad. And this is where Blizzard horrifically falls down. Is all this. That is all your vision right there. And that is, you can't do that as a healer. You just cannot do that. Because your vision is so taken away from the environment that you're going to fail very, very quickly on things like fires. Because your eyes have to... And you might not think it's very far, but your eyes moving from here all the way to here is a long-ass way. Your vision needs to be 90%, and when you build UI, your vision needs to be at least this area constantly. I'll undo that so I'm not spamming the screen. It's very important. As a healer, a DPS, or a tank, you need to make sure your vision is always focused in that area, be it for boss mods, be it for grid, or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with the standard Blizzard frames, which is this bit here. That's the standard grid that Blizzard built into the game. There's nothing wrong with it. It shows everything you need. It shows his his beacon of light. It'll show the debuffs of the fights. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It needs to be moved. If this was me, I would move this down to here, and I would have this as sort of my grid area, like that. You can unclick your unit frames. I would maybe, if I was a healer, I would probably try and fit it in either here or here. Here or here, because your grid can be quite small, especially if you're 10-man raiding. But the vision needs to move very quickly. There's nothing actually too wrong with the Blizzard UI other than this. That's wrong. This needs to move to here. Let me undo most of this. Whee! Okay. It needs to be correct in his vision, and that's going to improve your play massively. Yes, clicking is an issue, especially as a healer. You need to be very fast with healer cooldowns. Paladins are incredibly powerful. You need to be very quick on your Hodge at Ragnaros, Avenger's Wrath, Avenging Wrath, and Aura Mastery especially needs to be used on cooldown. Snap. It's very snap decisions. But it's the vision. The vision is wrong, guys. So when you're building UI, it doesn't matter what mods you use. I don't want you to just blindly follow my UI, but my UI is built on principles, alright, guys? See if I can... Wait, are we back? Yeah. Okay, my UI is built on principles. Principle 1, make sure your vision is focused in the middle of the screen. Make sure you're not repeating information. Don't have 3 of your own health bar. Totally unnecessary. Get rid of that, guys. You need 1 set of information. 1 to reduce the memory on your PC so it runs a little bit faster. It might only be a quarter of a meg or whatever, but that's a quarter of a meg that's not needed. Try and reduce your debuffs, or buffs and debuffs as much as humanly possible. So you've just seen what you barely need to see. And make sure just by looking at the middle of the screen, you get all the information you need. Especially as a tank, you can see your health and you can see your cooldowns. I would definitely, only one of these videos had threat plates. I think threat plates is vital for everything but a healer. Need your threat plates. It's just called Tidy Plates, Threat Plates. It's on Curse Gaming. Get that, it really helps you out, especially with DPSing. You need to know what